Sometimes when I look at the internet and the advice most people give, sometimes it just pisses me off the amount of overcomplication that people give to things. Problem with short-term advice, the problem with overcomplication is that it doesn't last. It's not long-term. You don't get consistent with it. When you have something that you can stay with long-term, that's when it really makes a result. That's when it really matters. That's when it really makes an impact on your life. Example, in diet, you don't want to do a strict diet, even if it's really healthy, even if it's the healthiest diet you could consume. It doesn't matter if you're not going to stick to it. If you can't do this diet for the rest of your life, it is not worth trying to put in the effort. What's important is the long-term health effects. What is important is the long-term effects of this diet, because diet and health, it's about build up over time. When you have a diet that you just do for a little bit, maybe you want to lose some weight, this doesn't work because you just quit the diet and you go back to yourself because it was too strict. You couldn't stick to it long term. You need to choose things that you can stick to long term. Even if something is healthier, if you can't stick to that long term, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the health, how healthy it is. What matters is if you can stick to this for the rest of your life. Because there are some diets that are really healthy. There are some diets that could genuinely really change your life. But if you cannot stick to it long term, if you can't do this diet for the rest of your life, if it isn't practical to consume it for the rest of your life, don't do it. Because no matter how healthy it is, you need to think about the long term. The short term can be nice. The short term can be a good measure of things. But the truth is long term effects, long term consistency. This is where change really comes. Change does not come from some short-term thing. Change comes through a long time of hard work and a long time of being consistent. Change does not come from some short thing you exercise you can do right away. You can do this today, you'll change right away. This is not what works. You need to think about the long term, not just some exercise that you'll do for a month and then I can go back to playing video games. This is same when you see dopamine detox videos. Oh, for 24 hours, don't do anything pleasurable for 24 hours and you'll reset your brain. This is fucking stupid advice because it's not long term. First of all, don't want to rid yourself of anything pleasurable. Second of all, you couldn't be rid of pleasure your whole life. The point of life is to have life pleasurable. You couldn't stick to what everyone says, dopamine detox long term. It's a 24-hour challenge for a reason because you can't do it forever. You need to do a dopamine detox where you just quit the bad habits. You quit doing the really bad shit. And you stick to that for the rest of your life. Just quit all the bad habits for the rest of your life. Don't just do this 24-hour reset. Think of the long term. Don't just think of the short term, what I can do right now. Think of the long term. Think of how is this going to impact me in 10 years? How is this going to impact me in 50 years? Think about these long term, because one quote that I love, that wise men think in decades. You can think in months, or you can think in days, you can think in weeks, you can think in months, you can think in years, but wise men think in decades. Wise men think long term. What am I going to do with my future? This is what's important. The long term is what's important, because no matter how healthy, no matter how good something is, if you can only do it for 21 day or 1 week or 1 month, it is useless because the short term is not what's important. The long term is. For example, this is why I don't like listening to so many people's advice online, is because it's all overcomplicated and it's all short-term advice. It's like, oh, dude, you take this product and you can do this, you can use this product and you can use it for right now and it'll cure your acne right now, and after you stop using it, it'll come back right back. It's not long-term. Skincare is a hoax. Skincare is it's stupid. I don't even, like, use skincare. The only skincare I use is, like, tallow balm, which I create myself, which is, I mean, it's just, like, it's natural, like, it's just tallow, which is, like, rendered beef fat, and like, a little bit of olive oil. That's literally it. It's just, that's the only thing I use, and that's the only thing you need to use. Don't rely on products, and even then, you don't need it. Don't rely on, like, products and short-term things, because and this is again why I don't like listening to people, like most people online, is because they give short-term advice that only works right now, and as soon as you stop doing this thing, you'll just, like, it'll be gone, and you know you will probably stop at some point. You know it isn't, like, practical to be doing for the rest of your life. So things that aren't going to be practical to do for the rest of your life, things that aren't gonna be, like, that only work right now, that only problems that you need to solve, that you could solve with a short-term thing, just, it's not worth it. It's not worth going through the hassle, the money, for short-term advice. Take the long-term advice. No matter how healthy something is, no matter how how good something works, if you can't do it for the rest of your life, if you can't do it for at least decades, if you can't think in decades, it's not worth it. Don't waste your time and money on it, because time is the most important resource. Time is money. So, my advice for you today is think long term. Think of the far future. Think in decades, because wise men think in decades. I bet you if I ask you a question, where do you see yourself in 10 years? What would you say? You'd say, oh, maybe I would be like, oh, I don't know. Like, you'd be like, you wouldn't know. Think in decades. Think, what are you going to do with your life in decades? Think long term. Think, how can this benefit me long term? What am I going to be doing long term? Because again, wise men think in decades. Keep working, man. Peace out. See you in the next video. Mwah!